Hey guys, this is Eric Weingartner with Weingartner Racing. It's Saturday, so it's kind of like an update video day. A lot of you won't even be watching this because you're probably at PRI, which I have to say, I kind of wish I was there. I got a little FOMO going on. I wish I was there in a way, but so much work to get done. And wait till I show you all the crap that just came in like yesterday and the day before. So I'm like way behind. But speaking of PRI, you know what's funny about this thing is probably in, I don't know, January, February, PRI sends out these magazines and they ask for if anybody wanted to do not necessarily an exhibit. They always ask for those because they want to get the money off the exhibitors. But they were asked if anybody wants to do a presentation. And so I was like, you know what, why not? Because I figured, this was back in, like February, January. I figured if with all the dyno mule stuff, I'd have a ton to talk about, which truly I do. Which, by the way, that's going to be its own separate video before the end of the year. I'm going to talk about everything that was gone on throughout the dyno testing from this year. But I thought, man, that'd be a great presentation to do at PRI. Talk about some of the stuff that worked and didn't work. Well, anyway, I submitted it and didn't even get a rejection letter. I didn't get nothing. So I was like, man, crap. So I know some of you are like, man, you're my hero. It's a small world because for a lot of them, I ain't shit. So, but anyway, sidebar to that. But anyway, kind of wish I was there, but I didn't think there'd be that many new things that come out. And what I've got here, in case you're wondering what I'm looking at, is this actually came in yesterday. This is actually a big block Ford because a lot of you complain that all you do is small block Chevys, man, or big block Chevys. You don't send any LSs or anything else. Well, it's really what comes in. And LS guys are cheap, so there's very few that actually come in. Big block Fords, you got to have a lot of money if you're going to do anything with them, and they're extremely rare. But I actually had the plate to flow this. This is actually a Pro Comp big block Ford head. It's full CNC ported. I'm going to do its own separate video on that, but that came in yesterday. And I'm quoting the customer. He said, I don't give a shit what it flows. So we'll see what this thing does. But anyway, there's that. This is my DN9s that's done. This is the first set of DN9s I've ever ported, and they come from a CNC port or from a CNC porter's casted. There's nothing done to it, and I've worked them since. It's good, but I don't have anything to compare it with. So if I look at the numbers from Brodix, which they're always high, I'm not as good. So I don't know. I kind of wish I had a set of DN9 stock from them to see how I compare. I know in the low lift stuff, I'm definitely better. And then also, I don't know what runner they're comparing because usually this long runner is the better one, but for whatever reason, my short one's better. It moves like 65, I think, at 9. It actually goes all the way up. So if you float it at 1.1, it's like 580. But anyway, there's that. This is a BRX head that I've ported for a customer. This is for a drag and drive deal. This will not have the biggest flowing numbers for my ported BRX stuff, SR20 things, because he's a drag and drive deal. So in other words, which I'll do a whole nother video on this one anyway, but this one has a lesser degree valve angle. So this is only not valve angle, seat angle. So like this is a 50 degree, but usually I put a 55 on. Well, doing drag and drive stuff, that's really hard on valve jobs. I don't know that it would make it. I also left the guide a little bit longer. Usually I would trim it off, would be flush with this, just because I want to give it the best chance of the valve job lasting. So anyway, it won't flow quite as well as some of my best stuff, but it's gonna be pretty good. But waiting for the valves, they're supposed to be in on Tuesday. But this is where things come up, that BRX head. So I was like, there ain't gonna be anything new at PRI. I mean, I kind of asked companies, and then I get this. This is the Brodix 2024 catalog. It just came in today. And then I open up to the first page, and boom, not that page, this one. It says, look, new BP BRX 18 degree head. So in other words, it's this head, but 18 degree, but there's more to it. It has, look at the valve size on this thing, it's huge. 2500, 1830. Massive valve sizes. So just to give you an idea, the DN9 is a 2520 and a 1800. This one, your regular BRX, is 2400. I could have done a 2425, but my only fear is because he's like a drag and drive deal and a more of a pump gas deal, there's a chance the valves would clip depending on how he does his cam timing. So I don't want to make the valve bigger on the intake side and have a problem with it clipping. So I left it at the 2400. But this one, brand new one, is 2500 by 1830. It kind of reminds me of the MBE deal, and I wonder if MBE had something to do with that. I tried for a long time to be able to buy just the porter's casting from MBE, and they're like, no, we're not doing that. So maybe that's what it is. because I can't wait to maybe eventually get to play with that, because the big disadvantage to the DN9, so no doubt the DN9 is going to actually flow more through the entire curve. It should. You've got a much raised up runner. It's 9 degrees versus 18. It's got a slightly bigger valve. The biggest, and I mean the biggest disadvantage for this head is the shaft rockers cost $1,000 more than the shaft rockers for the BRX. So you're talking like $2,400, $3,500 for shaft rockers. The heads themselves, I mean, it's about, I think it's like $600 difference. So I'm going to charge $5,000 CNC ported for a pair bare. And I think these are like run around $4,000, $4,500. So they're a little bit cheaper there. So yes, it's a little bit cheaper, but nothing like the shaft rockers. Shaft rockers for these things are stupid expensive. So having that as an option is a good deal. I'm trying to talk Brodix in there, and I haven't even sent an email, but I really, because you know the 540 dyno mule is coming up. The cam was supposed to be here today, or been there this week sometime. It hasn't showed up yet. For the record, I picked this cam specs. They're almost identical to the one that's in the Camaro. Now the Camaro is a 565, so it's got a 275, 288, and that's almost identical as far as duration-wise as the 541. Matter of fact, they kept the lobe separation the same, even though at 112, even though I've got way less compression ratio on the 540, it'll come in like 12-1. But the two heads I really want to try, because I know you're like, you do so many different tests. You've already done an oval port versus rectangular port, because I've done that. So we done like, I mean, these are kind of oval, but I've done rectangular port versus oval port, like true oval ports, the small ones versus the larger ones, like with the rectangular port. In other words, like the Race Right 294s versus the Race Right 270s. But the real one I want to do is this one. Now, this is your 3 extra page from Brodix. It's this one. This is their 327. It's as cast, and they claim it flows 401. I've actually done some with that. It's like 390s. But still, nice head. It's as cast, CNC bowl blend, CNC chambered. But the other one is this one. See, this is kind of hidden there. BB3 Extra O. This is actually 335 cc's, and it flows 411. So it physically, cc-wise, is a little bit bigger than 327, but it actually moves more air. And I have, that's the head right there. And that I run on the Camaro. And I did some modifications to it, obviously. I had to move over the push rod slot, so it's in the same spot as like your, I think I made it at the same spot as a 380, which is not even on here anymore, is it? I guess it's not. There it is. I had it make the push rod slot the same as the 380, so it's moved over, so it requires that shaft rocker. I also put a 2375 intake valve and ported it, obviously. It flows like 485. But anyway, that head I would like to do out of the box versus that head. So just to see. And you're like, why don't you do this one? If I would truly, I would do it for Brodix. I'd be their R&D thing. I would test all 3 of these. All 3 and that one. That's 4 of their as-cast heads. Compare them on that 540. But really, that one and that one. They're like, well, why don't you just buy it? Do this for like $4,000. You guys need to buy more books. Speaking of which, I'm going to pre-order for the final book. It's still on my website. Go to wengines.com. You'll see the online link to my online store on the homepage, and you can pre-order the last book. It's $65 plus $10 shipping. That one will have the last round of the 496 testing and the final small block Chevy dyno testing where I did the CNC ported head, which will be the next video you see probably on Monday. I'm going to show you the dyno results from my 235 CNC head versus the 215 Pro Max, and I'll show some different things. And trust me, that one's going to have really 2 parts to it because it's learned something very, very interesting with that. But that's the final book. It's on my website. Please go buy that thing, because the more you buy that, the more I can test of this. And I'm like, you're just making yourself richer. No, I'm an idiot, because if I was richer, I wouldn't be doing that. I would just keep pocketing the money instead of spending all that money and then more of my own money to test more stuff that companies probably should be testing anyway. So anyway, because we're talking like $4,000 just in the heads to do this, but I want to know, and I'm sure a lot of you want to know. So, but anyway, there's that. That's what's been going on here. But let me show you how much, because I told you the shop's a disaster. Because I was thinking, my son's going to work last Sunday. He couldn't because he was doing it at swim meet, which we'll get to in a minute. That's intake. Cam, got to do that. Weird head that came in that I have to flow because he's like, is this such a strange deal? That's going to be a good video too. It's not just a regular small block Chevy head. It's weird. Another one. Intake. these are all stuff he's got to work on tomorrow because he don't have a swim meet tomorrow. Tear apart those, tear apart those. I mean, there's crap. All this is like 1 week. So it's like disaster of shop. And I think more crap could come in if it would just get here. So yeah, it's nuts. Nuts. But anyway, let's talk about my son swimming because, I'm going to do that. I got to brag on him because he had a meet last Saturday and Sunday. Okay, so my son had a swim meet. If you don't like to hear this is not technical at all. I get it. But I'm going to brag every time because he does a lot. He's actually got another meet today. But last Saturday and Sunday, he was at Bartlesville, and it's for his club swim. So just for those that are confused, he swims high school and then club. The more competitive one, club. So I got to tell you about what this one kid did. It was amazing. I've never seen anything like it before. It's pretty cool. But anyway, so he had to swim way more events. In high school, you only swim 2 events. That's all they'll let you do, and then you get to do relays. For club, you can do as many as you want. So he did his coach signed him up for just about everything. So the first one was a 200 IM, which he used to hate. He dropped 32 seconds from what he qualified. So like last February is where his time came from. 32 seconds. That's fast. Like I think he finished 8th. So 7th or 8th in that one overall, which is phenomenal. I mean, this kid used to be like finishing 23rd. And then he did a 100-yard breaststroke. He sucks at breaststroke. Found whatever he was missing. Dropped time like 10 seconds. He dropped time in almost everything. So he did like I said, 200 IM, the 100 breaststroke, the 100 fly. He dropped time. That kid's getting fast at fly. Oh my gosh. Backstroke, which he used to suck at, he dropped time in that like significant. These are all times like dropping like 10 seconds, like huge times. The only things, so in overall on those, he finished like 7th, 8th, 9th. I think he finished my 11th and 12th on some of them. The only things he did worse on, so even on the 100 free, which he dropped a second on that, which is smoking. Then on the 200 free, which is also what he qualified for high school state in, he dropped 1 second. That one I would have liked to have seen him drop more, but there's a caveat to it, which I'll get to in the end. But other than that, he done fine, except for 2 events, he actually got worse on time. The first one, he did a mile swim. This is the weirdest one I've ever seen. And let me explain what I mean by that. Whenever you see swim events, usually you have 1 person per lane. So you have 1 swimmer in a lane. They're kind of roped off. Well, they had so many people signing up for the mile swim. So due to that, they're like, we have to do something. We're going to be here till like midnight. So we're going to double you up. We're going to put 2 in a lane. First off, not a lot of kids ever sign up for the mile swim, for the record. You know why? Because it sucks. It's a hard swim. Hard swim. So anyway, there's 2 swimmers to the lane. You're like, how are they doing that? One swimmer jumps off and he's on the right side. One jumps off and he's on the left side. But how are they both on the board? One will start, and after 100 meters or 100 yards, the other one starts. Because of this, they were short on timers because they needed extra timers because you couldn't use the pads because you have different people touching the pads. So they was actually relying on strictly the timers. Also, they needed more boardmen. So I got to boardman my son. For those that don't know what I mean is there's this, to count how many links they do so the swimmer doesn't lose track of where they're at, they have a board you stick in the water so they can see, and you wave it. You can, up and down means to go faster, side to side, slow down. You hold it means to hold the same. And you're there and you keep changing the number so you'll know. So it goes like, if I remember right, it was 63, and then you flip it over to the red, and that's what means that's it, fly. He didn't do as well, and I was yelling at him hard too. But he didn't do as well. He gained 26 seconds. He did it like a 19:26. And he was really mad about the deal, but he'd also swim like 4 other events before that. I was like, the kid that was in the same lane with him was like 2 minutes faster. It's like, buddy, he's swimming against you while you're swimming forward. I'm not thinking you're going to get your best times. And vice versa, probably for him too. But anyway, that one he didn't do as well in. The other one was his 50 freestyle. So this one, you better be all out. And jumps off, his underwater was phenomenal. Probably the best I've ever seen it. That's where they kick underneath the water and then they come up. He come up almost more than halfway of the pool. And I was like, man, and he was in the lead of his heat. And his heat was like the 3rd fastest. I was like, oh, this is good. Missed the turn. So he gets to the end to make the turn and he cuts it short. So it kind of slowed him down. In the end, he gained time, like almost 0.6 of a second. And I didn't see how quickly his reaction time was either, but that was the only thing that was not as good. But here's the caveat to this whole thing. So he's been swimming with Broken Arrow, and he usually goes to Club Swim to swim for Swim Tulsa. Their pool has been broken now for 2 weeks. So what he went from practicing 5 hours a day to 2.5 hours a day. And he also, yeah. So he's not getting as much training, what I'm trying to say. And it's the worst time of the year for that. But it happens. There's nothing that Swim Tulsa could do with that. Parts break. Takes a while for people to get the stuff fixed. Hopefully they're having the pool fixed and it should be ready to go by Wednesday, which, God, I hope so. Because it's supposed to be fixed on Monday, but they say it takes like 2 days to warm up the pool and whatnot. Anyway, so, yeah, that's going on. Today, we have to go all the way to Claremore for him to swim for Broken Arrow High School. He's got the 100 butterfly and then the 500 free, which is, in case you don't know, he's a distance swimmer. He'd rather swim distance anyway. That's why he was so mad about the mile time. He was hoping to drop, but he didn't. So, but the 500 that he does today, he should do, I don't know. Because when you think about it, on the other swims, they're not as long. So if you take some time off from swimming, you're probably not going to be as affected by that. But cardio is so important on the longer ones and your endurance. So taking any time off from training, it's probably not a good thing. So I don't know about that one. His butterfly, I'm not joking. He's like, Dad, can we get up and go work out? I didn't want to get my lats stronger so I can get faster at the butterfly. So I was like, I would love to work out with you. So on Thursday, went to go work out. Anyway, if you've ever worked out with your son, you'll understand, especially your teenage son, because they always think you're a weak bitch. That's what they think. And then you put on real weights and they're like, because I was doing this lat pull down and it says 140 pounds. He goes, man, 140, Dad, really? And I mean, by the way, that is nothing, really is nothing. Because I don't really mess with too much with lats, it's just kind of warm up. But he's like, that ain't nothing, Dad. That ain't nothing. He goes, the little guy in our swim team could do 140, is what he work out with. I was like, all right, go ahead and put it on. So then he tries doing it, it's picking, he couldn't even pull it down. I was like, yeah, probably because you know why you're 140 at your gym seems like a cool thing? Probably because they got this whole pulley system, which I thought you had physics. So they're taking mechanical advantage. So the 140 that they're pulling is actually like 70. So then another one's like, yeah, I'll just throw on some more weight. So it's like military press. I was like, I'll put on 145 pounds. He's like, that's it. I'm like, why don't you just try the bar? You know? So anyway, I love working out with him. He's a good kid. But I was more impressed that he wanted to work out with me because most kids don't want to do anything with their dad. But I think he knew too because when we were going to the gym, I've been going there for a while. So many of the guys like say hi and stuff and like, oh man, good to see you working out. But anyway, I don't know. But here's the last story I was going to tell you. So we're in Bartlesville. So doing the swim meet. And this is what got Bishop's attention. So this was the 200 fly. Now Bishop did not butterfly. He did not compete in this one because the run right after it was a 50 free. So if you got done doing the 200 fly, you'd be pretty tired when you did the 50 free. And you got to have it all because your ball's out on that. So anyway, Bartlesville is great. So Bartlesville is this little bitty town in Oklahoma. It's built on oil. But they have an amazing swim team. Amazing. And they have a lot of swimmers too. I think they won the state championship in Oklahoma for swimming as well last year. Amazing facility. Great people. All of them. All their swimmers are nice. Bishop's never complained about a single one. The coaches are all nice. It's great. So anyway, they got this one swimmer on the team called Griffin Craig. He is the fastest swimmer in Oklahoma on most events, and by far. So Bishop wasn't swimming this one, but he's sitting down and he's watching. And it's the final heat, because the way that they go is they have the slower heats go first, and then the faster ones go last. So it's the final heat. So this is the fastest one, and they're almost all Bartlesville swimmer. There's like one other swimmer from some other school that's in that heat. No Swim Tulsa guys, nobody. It's them. The fastest one is Griffin Craig. So for those who don't know the way the swim move, they go, swimmers take your mark. And they all get down, grab the board, and then they jump off, right? All of them jump off except for Griffin Craig. And he's just standing there. I'm like, man, did he miss it? Did he not hear it or something? So the judge comes over and goes, you can go. And he goes, I'm waiting. And what they didn't know is the Bartlesville team was counting down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At 7, he gets down and jumps off. Gave him a 7-second start. So Bishop's like, oh my God. And then he took off like a bandit. 200 meter. By 150, he had caught the field. When it was all said and done, he'd beat everybody by 3 seconds. And those are the fastest ones in Oklahoma. I mean, there probably was some other ones that might have been there, but he is fast. So, and they're like, so in case you're wondering why he did that, it wasn't just to punk his teammates. It's because they're all friends together on Bartlesville. So he's like, go, I'll give you a chance. He's just good. And he's not cocky, too. It sounds like I'm not. But anyway, Bishop got a kick out of that. But anyway, there's my swim story. Now we got like 10 minutes worth of crap, whatever. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We're on Porting Cast Iron Heads. I'm no Superman. You guys take care.